The story begins with a happy life of a young girl named Saraswati and her mother Lakshmi. That day, Saraswati is especially excited because it is her birthday. As her mother, Lakshmi feels just as happy for her. Lakshmi is the kind of mother who always sets a good example through her daily routine. That morning, she gives Saraswati some chocolates to share with her classmates so she can celebrate her birthday with them. Lakshmi never misses a day taking her daughter to school. It shows just how loving and devoted she is as a mother. She works as a nurse at a government hospital where she is known for being kind and caring toward the patients. That day, she has also prepared a special birthday gift for Saraswati, a wristwatch she knows her daughter will love. Later, Lakshmi hurries to pick Saraswati up from school. She asks one of the teachers to call her daughter, but instead of Saraswati, the teacher brings out another girl. Lakshmi is immediately confused because that girl is clearly not her child. Strangely, the school says there is only one student named Saraswati, and she is the girl standing in front of her. But Lakshmi does not recognize the child at all. Something is clearly wrong. This is Saraswati. Lakshmi tries to explain that she brings her daughter to that school every single morning. The school security guard should have seen them, so he is called in to clarify the situation. But even the guard is unsure. With so many children arriving at the same time every morning, he never paid attention to Saraswati specifically. Sensing that something is terribly wrong, Lakshmi begins searching for her daughter. Some people suggest that maybe she sent Saraswati to a different school by mistake, but Lakshmi knows that is impossible because she has been bringing her daughter there every day. Everyone around her becomes confused by the sudden disappearance of a student named Saraswati. Yet the teachers keep insisting that there is no Saraswati other than the girl they already showed her. The principal, Rambabu, who is currently on leave, asks a police officer named Krishna to handle the situation. Lakshmi explains again that she takes her daughter to and from school every day. But the teachers give a different answer. They claim they do not even know Lakshmi, and that the only student named Saraswati at the school has already been shown to her. And according to them, that girl is not Lakshmi's daughter. At that time, the school's CCTV had not been working for several days. With no footage to rely on, Krishna looks for another way to investigate. He begins by asking about Saraswati's classmates, including the names Lakshmi mentioned, Sweta and Ramya. The children are gathered, but none of them are named Sweta or Ramya. Even more unsettling, the students look confused when they are shown a photo of Saraswati, as if they have never seen her before. With many other responsibilities to handle, Krishna asks everyone to stay calm, especially Lakshmi. He suggests that Saraswati might simply be somewhere nearby, possibly playing, and advises Lakshmi to file an official report if her daughter does not return within 24 hours. But Lakshmi cannot shake the strange feelings surrounding everything that has happened. Driven by fear and confusion, she continues searching for Saraswati, asking anyone who might have seen her. Still, no one recognizes the girl she is describing, and every lead leads nowhere. As night falls, Lakshmi suddenly receives a call. It is Saraswati speaking weakly. She says she is hiding behind the principal's office and that there are 3 men there, including the principal himself. Hearing this, Lakshmi rushes back to the school, desperate to bring her daughter home. But when she arrives, she is met with a horrifying sight. Saraswati is in critical condition, showing signs of abuse and torture at the hands of the principal and 2 unknown men. Tragically, she does not survive. Lakshmi is left shattered. On Saraswati's phone, she finds a recording that clearly shows the 3 attackers. The footage fills her with rage and grief beyond control. In that moment of overwhelming emotion, she throws the phone away, not realizing that the recording could have been the key evidence needed to bring the perpetrators to justice. The next morning, Lakshmi goes to the police station to report what happened to her daughter. As soon as Krishna hears the story, he immediately begins the investigation. But Lakshmi reveals something unexpected. She says her daughter is no longer at the scene because she has already buried her. She made that decision on impulse, overwhelmed by grief and fear. As a mother who had just lost her child, she did not want her daughter's body to become public attention if the case spread widely. Krishna is taken aback. Instead of helping, Lakshmi's actions have made the investigation much harder. There are barely any witnesses, and now the main piece of evidence is gone. He asks Lakshmi to show him where she buried Saraswati, and they head there to dig up the grave. But things take another strange turn. The grave is empty. A cemetery guard explains that when Lakshmi arrived earlier, she appeared to be drunk and buried the body by herself. He never actually saw what she put into the ground. Hearing this, Krishna begins to think he is being misled and that Lakshmi might be imagining things or wasting his time. Then Lakshmi remembers the phone she threw away, the one that contained the recording of the attackers. They rush back to the principal's office, hoping to recover it. But the room has already been cleaned and rearranged, and the phone is nowhere to be found. Despite Lakshmi's insistence that she threw it nearby, Krishna cannot help her. There is no evidence, no witnesses, and nothing that can support her claims. Still, Lakshmi refuses to give up. She continues searching for a skilled lawyer who is willing to help her seek justice for her daughter. But every lawyer turns her away, all for the same reason: there is no solid proof. Until one day she comes across a man named Ramanja. He is known as an honest and compassionate lawyer, someone who has won nearly every case he has taken, often without asking for payment from those who cannot afford it. By chance, Lakshmi finds herself in the same place as him, and she pleads for his help. She tells him everything, including the lack of evidence that caused other lawyers to reject her case. At first, Ramanja seems hesitant because the situation is full of inconsistencies, but he looks at Lakshmi and sees a grieving mother who cannot hide her pain. That is enough for him to believe her, so he decides to take the case. Ramanja begins by meeting Krishna, the officer who handled the initial investigation, but Krishna remains doubtful. He explains that there is nothing to support Lakshmi's story, no evidence, no witnesses, and even the grave she mentioned turned out to be empty. To him, the entire case feels like a dead end. Ramanja then brings Lakshmi to court to file a case over Saraswati's death, even though there is still no strong evidence to support it. To move things forward, Ramanja asks for permission to question the teachers at Saraswati's school, but the teachers give the same answers as before and even present attendance records to back up their claims. Ramanja argues that the school could have manipulated the data, and he also points out that the principal, Rambabu, has yet to appear, which raises further suspicion given his long leave. Hearing this, the judge orders Rambabu to attend the next hearing. The following day, Rambabu finally shows up in court and faces a series of intense questions from Ramanja. During the session, Rambabu admits that he is a close friend of Inspector Krishna. He strongly rejects the accusations, especially those involving such a serious crime against a young student, even as Ramanja continues to pressure him. But everything suddenly changes when Lakshmi states that she clearly remembers the faces of the perpetrators, and that Rambabu is not one of the men she saw in the video. This completely undermines Ramanja's argument and leaves him embarrassed in court. As a result, the judge dismisses the case. Despite this setback, Ramanja continues to search for the truth. He asks Lakshmi to identify the perpetrators from old school records. When she points to a photo, Ramanja is shocked. The person she identifies is not an ordinary individual, but someone powerful. And according to her, that person is directly responsible for Saraswati's death. At this point, Ramanja begins to doubt Lakshmi herself. He feels that something is not right with her story. Unwilling to risk further humiliation, he tells her to find another lawyer. Left with no direction, Lakshmi decides to visit an elderly woman who was once her patient. During their conversation, the woman recognizes one of the men Lakshmi describes. He turns out to be a government official, a collector. Acting quickly, Lakshmi goes to the collector's office to investigate. She looks through photos of 3 individuals, hoping to confirm their identities. But the head of the office refuses to assist her, stating that she needs an official police report. As Lakshmi leaves the building, chaos suddenly erupts. Police and officials rush in and seal off the area. The head of the collector's office has just been declared dead. At that moment, Inspector Krishna is overwhelmed with the situation. Lakshmi tries to approach him, as if she has something important to say, but Krishna ignores her, dismissing her as unstable and not worth taking seriously. But everything takes a shocking turn when Lakshmi suddenly confesses that she is the one who killed them. Krishna is stunned. She explains that it happened when she saw photos of 3 men she believed were responsible for the abuse of Saraswati. In that moment, she took matters into her own hands and shot them.
No apologies, you lost real.
The victims were not ordinary people. They were powerful figures, including a police chief and a judge. This confession leaves everyone questioning her actions, including Ramanja. How could she carry out 3 murders in such a short time, especially against high-ranking officials? Lakshmi insists that it was the punishment they deserved, something the justice system could never deliver because those in power often manipulate the law to protect themselves. Even so, the court cannot make decisions based on words alone. Without solid evidence and reliable witnesses, the law must follow its rules. Because of her confession, the judge orders that Lakshmi be taken into custody under court supervision. Ramanja has no choice but to follow the court's decision and continue investigating the case. News of Lakshmi's actions spreads quickly. To the public, she has taken revenge for her daughter's death. But for Ramanja, nothing is clear. He still cannot find a single piece of concrete evidence to support the entire story. Determined to uncover the truth, Ramanja decides to meet Aditya, Lakshmi's ex-husband, who now lives in Mumbai. He begins asking about Lakshmi's past. Aditya recalls how they first met in an operating room. He remembers seeing Lakshmi carefully taking care of an elderly patient, the same woman who would later help Lakshmi carry out her plan. Over time, they grew closer and eventually fell in love. Even then, Lakshmi sometimes showed signs of fear, as if she was afraid of losing someone she loved again. She had already lost her parents at a young age, and that fear never left her. Despite that, Aditya promised to marry her and stay by her side for the rest of his life. They eventually got married and built a happy life together. Ramanja then reveals the current situation. Lakshmi has been arrested after killing 3 men in what she claims was revenge for her child. Aditya is completely shocked, but then he shares something unexpected. During their marriage, his family pressured them to have a child. Unfortunately, Lakshmi was unable to have children. Because of that, they eventually decided to separate, even though they still loved each other deeply. Aditya firmly states that throughout their entire marriage, they never had a child. This only adds more confusion for Ramanja. The truth seems to slip further away. Wanting answers, he asks his assistant to gather information from people around Lakshmi. Meanwhile, Ramanja continues his own investigation by speaking with the groundskeeper who previously saw Lakshmi at the place where she claimed to have buried her child. The man admits that, although he had been drinking that night, he was still aware of what was happening. He recalls that Lakshmi was acting strangely, as if she were carrying and burying a child, but he never actually saw what she put into the ground. This only deepens the mystery. Ramanja begins forming his own theories about the inconsistencies in Lakshmi's story. He reaches out to Aditya again and asks for his help. This time he shows him a photo of Saraswati, hoping Aditya might recognize her. To his surprise, Aditya immediately identifies the photo. He says it is actually Lakshmi herself as a child. He explains that her full name is Lakshmi Saraswati. At that moment, everything starts to connect. Ramanja realizes that the Saraswati Lakshmi has been talking about all along is actually her own younger self. Determined to understand what is really happening, Ramanja arranges a meeting with a respected psychiatrist named Anthony. He explains the strange and confusing details surrounding Lakshmi. After hearing everything, Anthony concludes that Lakshmi, or Saraswati, is experiencing a form of psychological condition driven by deep trauma, where her subconscious creates a fantasy that feels completely real to her. Anthony suggests examining her directly through hypnosis, hoping to access her subconscious mind. At first, Lakshmi feels there is no point in explaining anything, since no one believes her anyway. But Ramanja chooses to trust her, at least until the truth is fully uncovered. With no physical evidence to rely on, Lakshmi herself becomes the only key to the case. So, Ramanja convinces her to undergo the psychological session with Anthony. During the hypnosis, Anthony carefully guides her back into her memories. When asked about her identity, she answers as Saraswati. She says her mother is Lakshmi and her father is Prabhakar. From there, she begins to relive the past. In her subconscious, she sees herself as a young girl living happily with her parents. It is her 12th birthday, which also falls on Independence Day. Her father, Prabhakar, works as a videographer who loves capturing every special moment of their lives. That day, he takes her to school as usual and asks her to share chocolates with her classmates to celebrate. The school is hosting an event attended by important officials, including 2 men who hold positions as a police officer and a judge. Saraswati innocently offers them chocolates as well. But instead of seeing her innocence, those men see something else. Their intentions turn dark, and they begin plotting something cruel against the young girl.
Bigga? Smaller?
Big.
Jello?
Ranga.
Her parents grow increasingly desperate and begin searching every classroom, refusing to give up. At the same time, Saraswati, helpless and terrified, tries to call out to them. But the men stop her and force her to stay silent. Just like in the present, her parents continue searching everywhere. Eventually, Lakshmi receives a call from Saraswati, who is frightened and struggling to explain what is happening. She tells them about the 3 men who have hurt her. Hearing this, Prabhakar and Lakshmi rush back to the school and head straight to the room. When they finally see her condition, they can hardly believe what has been done to their daughter. Without wasting any time, they take her to the hospital. The doctor who performs the operation is Tulasi. She manages to save Saraswati's life, but the damage is severe. To keep her alive, Tulasi has no choice but to remove her womb, which later explains why Saraswati is unable to have children with Aditya. Prabhakar feels completely broken, blaming himself for not being able to protect his daughter. Even worse, the legal system offers no justice, largely because of their lower social standing. Still, Saraswati reveals that there is one crucial piece of evidence. She tells them about a recording that the perpetrators planned to use as blackmail if the family ever tried to take legal action. Hearing this, Saraswati suggests retrieving the camera's hard disk. Prabhakar quickly goes back to the scene and manages to find it. They hand it over to a lawyer, hoping it will finally bring the perpetrators to justice. Lakshmi holds on to that hope, believing the truth will soon be revealed. But things take another devastating turn. Instead of defending them, the lawyer sides with the perpetrators. He claims that the family never provided any evidence, leading the judge to reject the case. The men responsible walk free, showing no remorse. Later, the lawyer admits that he acted out of fear. Once the perpetrators learned that he had the evidence, they threatened to harm his own children. He chose to protect his family, even if it meant abandoning justice. Lakshmi's anger then shifts toward a fourth person, someone she believes played a major role in helping the perpetrators escape punishment. That person feels humiliated during the ordeal, and not long after, Prabhakar and Lakshmi are ambushed on their way home. The trauma is overwhelming. Back in the present, as she relives these memories under hypnosis, Saraswati's body reacts violently. The intensity becomes dangerous, forcing Anthony to administer a sedative. This frustrates Ramanja, because the identity of the fourth person is still unknown. Anthony explains that uncovering that truth is now Ramanja's responsibility. At that point, Ramanja begins to understand something important. All this time, Saraswati has been acting as if she is still living alongside her mother. With that realization, Ramanja decides to reopen the long-buried case. He tracks down the lawyer who once handled it, and the man confirms that everything Saraswati described is true. Ramanja then meets the judge privately, asking for permission not to bring Lakshmi, also known as Saraswati, into the next court session. By this point, the truth has started to unfold. According to the findings, she is experiencing a psychological condition that causes her to blur the line between reality and her subconscious. Legally, this can be recognized as a valid mental state. When the trial resumes, Ramanja explains her condition to the court. He describes how her mind has created a version of reality where she cannot distinguish what is real from what exists in her subconscious. That is why she is not present in court. Yet in a strange way, her subconscious has actually revealed important clues about how the system failed her. The defense team quickly objects, arguing that everything presented is nothing more than fiction. But Ramanja is given the chance to continue. He calls on Dr. Tulasi, the surgeon who treated Saraswati in the past. Tulasi explains that Saraswati was found unconscious shortly after witnessing the murder of her parents. The trauma was so severe that it erased most of her memories. The only thing she could hold on to was the image of her parents taking her to school, which became the foundation of her subconscious world. She does not remember the abuse she suffered, and she does not even remember the moment her parents were killed. After hearing this, Ramanja pleads with the judge to make a fair and just decision. He argues that Lakshmi, or Saraswati, is mentally unstable, and that her actions should be seen as the result of deep psychological damage. His goal is not only to defend her, but also to prevent similar injustices in the future, especially for those who have no power within the system. The judge realizes that this is no ordinary case. It involves defending someone who has committed murder, yet whose motives are rooted in a past that was never given justice. Faced with such complexity, the judge decides to delay the verdict until the next day, needing more time to consider the final decision, especially since Lakshmi had previously been sentenced to death. The following day happens to be Independence Day, which also marks Saraswati's birthday. Ramanja takes this moment to test what Tulasi had explained. He wishes her a happy birthday. But instead, Saraswati responds by acknowledging Independence Day, and in that moment, it becomes clear that Tulasi was right. Saraswati truly does not remember. The event is attended by high-ranking officials, including a minister. Not long after it begins, panic suddenly spreads among the crowd and the police. Ramanja quickly tries to find out what is happening. Then the truth comes out. Lakshmi, also known as Saraswati, has killed the minister, the same man responsible for the deaths of her parents. He was the fourth person involved in her case. She is brought into court once again, this time to face charges for the minister's murder. Everyone is left wondering what she is really trying to do. She claims that the minister protected the three men who harmed her child, Even now, she still believes she is Lakshmi, a mother seeking justice for her daughter. In her mind, she is fighting for those who have been crushed by powerful people, those who have suffered in silence without protection. But the prosecution refuses to accept her mental condition as an excuse. They argue that her actions were driven by revenge, not illness. They go further, pointing out that Lakshmi never had a child and that Saraswati is actually her own identity. This triggers a deep emotional response within her. The trauma resurfaces, and she clings even harder to the belief that she once had a daughter. Ramanja knows that this state could put her life at risk if it continues. After she is secured, Ramanja expresses his frustration with a system that often protects those with power while ignoring those who suffer without it. In the end, the judge reaches a decision. Lakshmi, or Saraswati, is spared from punishment, but under one condition. She must be admitted to a psychiatric hospital for treatment. This decision comes after Ramanja presents medical evidence confirming her psychological condition. Several months later, she expresses her gratitude to Ramanja for believing in her and helping uncover the truth that had been buried for so long. Even though there was once strong evidence, the system had chosen to ignore it. Ramanja walks away with lingering doubts. According to Dr. Tulasi, Saraswati should only remember the moments of being taken to school by her parents. But now something feels off. She was able to recall the moment her parents handed over the video evidence to the lawyer. That contradiction keeps bothering him. So he returns, and what he finds changes everything. Saraswati is there, standing with Aditya, completely fine. That is when Aditya reveals the truth. Everything was carefully planned from the beginning. Because of the crime committed against her, Saraswati could never have children. So they chose a different path. The only way to make their plan work was to make Saraswati appear mentally unstable, as if she were trapped in a world of trauma and fantasy. That illusion became her shield, protecting her once her revenge was complete. Their plan works perfectly. They manage to mislead Krishna, and that becomes the starting point for everything. Through that, they learn about Ramanja, someone they believe can help them bring justice in a way the system never could. From there, Saraswati is trained to use firearms, preparing herself for what is coming. One by one, she successfully takes down the men responsible. At the same time, they manage to convince Ramanja that Saraswati is mentally unstable, trapped in a world shaped by trauma and imagination. That belief becomes the key to saving her from the death penalty. In truth, their original target was only the 3 men who directly harmed her. The minister was never part of their plan. Saraswati did not even recognize him at first, except for one detail, a ring. But when she saw that same ring again while in custody, everything clicked. She realized he was the one behind her parents' deaths. So in that moment, she acted without hesitation and killed him. In the end, Ramanja walks away with a sense of satisfaction. He never expected to encounter someone as intelligent and calculated as Saraswati. And yet, beneath it all, she is still a person deeply scarred by everything she has lost. And with that, the story comes to an end. So the moral of the story is if life gets confusing, just pretend you're your own daughter and suddenly everything makes sense.